Welcome, and thank you for joining me tonight. Before we begin, take a moment to find a comfortable position and allow the day to gently fade away. Tonight, we journey north across cold seas and quiet fjords into the world of the Vikings. We will walk among their villages, hear the clang of the smith's hammer, the songs of the feast hall, and the whispers of the northern sky as the story unfolds. Let the words guide you like the tide, carrying you calmly toward rest. So settle in, and let us begin our journey. The fjord at dawn. The night has only just begun to loosen its hold on the land. Darkness lingers in the folds of the mountains, and the stars still shimmer faintly in the cold sky. But on the fjord, the first hints of dawn arrive quietly, in colors soft and pale. The water reflects it all, silver at first, then touched with faint streaks of rose and amber. The fjord is still, its surface unbroken save for the ripples of seabirds skimming low. Their cries echo against the steep cliffs carried out across the water before fading into silence. Along the shoreline, the air is damp with salt and pine, the scent of seaweed mingling with the fragrance of moss-covered stone. Mist rises slowly, curling from the surface of the water and drifting inland, weaving through the stands of spruce and birch that crown the slopes. Moored along the shore are the longships. Their hulls are narrow and sleek, carved from oak and lined with shields along the sides. Their dragon-headed prows lift proudly into the air, silent guardians keeping watch over the fjord. The ships rest gently, their ropes creaking faintly, as the tide shifts beneath them. Even in stillness, they seem alive, ready to glide forward the moment the oars strike the water. The village sleeps just beyond the harbor, but here along the shore, the day begins early. Fishermen stir from their huts, cloaks wrapped tight against the chill, their boots crunching over frosted earth. They carry nets coiled upon their shoulders, baskets dangling from their hands. Their breath drifts into the air in pale clouds. As they move steadily toward the boats, the creak of wooden planks, the splash of oars touching water, the thud of baskets set against the shore, the fjord begins to hum with quiet life. The fishermen push their boats into the shallows. Some move alone, others in pairs, their oars dipping into the still water. The sound is steady, rhythmic, echoing softly across the fjord. Seabirds circle overhead, their wings catching the pale dawn light as they follow the boats outward. Nets are cast wide, sinking into the depths with a hiss of rope and a soft splash. The men wait, their hands steady, their eyes upon the water, their silence patient from the cliffs above. The forests wake as well. A stag steps cautiously from the trees, lowering its head to drink from a stream that tumbles toward the fjord. Its breath steams in the air, its ears flicking at the faint calls of birds beginning their morning songs. In the branches above, crows gather, their dark forms scattered against the pale sky. They call harshly to one another, their voices carrying far. To the people of this land, the cries of crows are never ignored. Omens, reminders, voices of the unseen. As the fishermen labor, the light strengthens. The mountains, once shrouded in shadow, emerge in full. Their peaks glow faintly with snow, their slopes thick with pine and spruce, their ridges sharp and steady against the horizon. The fjord glimmers between them, a ribbon of water cutting deep into the land, its surface now gilded with gold. Every rock, every tree, every ripple of water glows softly, touched by the first warmth of the sun. On the shore, children stir from their homes. They wander down to the water's edge, their cloaks trailing behind them, their hair still tousled with sleep. Some gather driftwood, stacking it into piles for the day's fire. Others chase one another along the sand, their laughter soft but clear, echoing across the stones. From time to time, they pause to watch the fishermen, pointing toward the nets that rise heavy with the morning's catch. The men wave back, their faces softened with quiet smiles. A woman kneels at the water's edge, washing clothes against a smooth stone. The fabric slaps softly against the surface, the sound blending with the lap of waves. Beside her, a young girl helps, rinsing garments in the shallows, her hands red with cold. When they finish, they drape the cloth across driftwood to dry, the pale fabric fluttering gently in the breeze. The fjord holds all of it, the boats, the nets, the cries of birds, the laughter of children, the prayers whispered by fishermen as they lift their catch. It carries the life of the village upon its waters, steady and unbroken. Here, at the meeting of sea and mountain, day begins, not with sudden clamor, but with slow unfolding, like a story whispered softly into the dawn. And, as the sun rises higher, painting the water in silver and gold, the fjord breathes in silence, vast, patient, eternal. The village awakens. From the shore, the path winds upward into the heart of the village. It is little more than a scattering of timber homes, their walls built from pine logs, their roofs thickly thatched with straw. Yet each is solid, sturdy, pressed close against the others as though huddled for warmth against the northern winds. Smoke curls steadily from the roof holes, carrying the scent of pine wood and peat across the morning air. The village stirs slowly. Doors creak open, shutters are pulled wide, and the day begins with a rhythm that has not changed for generations. Men step into the yards with axes over their shoulders, their cloaks pulled tight against the lingering chill. Women emerge carrying buckets, their skirts brushing softly against the packed earth as they walk toward the well. Children tumble from doorways, half asleep but eager, their voices rising in laughter as they chase one another through the lanes. Animals add their voices to the waking chorus. Goats bleat from pens, stamping their hooves against the wooden boards. Chickens cluck and scatter in the yards, their feathers ruffled as they scratch the ground for grain. From a byre comes the low, steady sound of cattle, shifting heavily within their stalls. A boy opens the door, leading one cow out into the morning light. Its breath steams in the air, its hide shining faintly in the sun. The boy pats its neck, softly murmuring words of reassurance, as he guides it toward the pasture at the center of the village. A large fire pit smolders. Women gather here, kneeling round the flames, coaxing them back to life with fresh wood. The crackle rises, the sparks leap, and soon kettles of porridge are set above the fire. The smell of oats and honey drifts outward, mixing with the sharper fragrance of smoked fish and herbs. Nearby, flatbread bakes upon stones, its surface blistering, its scent warm and earthy. Children wait eagerly, their hands outstretched, their eyes bright as they watch the food take shape. In one corner of the village, the sound of an axe echoes. A man splits logs with practiced ease, his strokes steady and unbroken. Each strike sends wood chips scattering, the air filled with the scent of fresh pine. Beside him, his son gathers the split logs, stacking them neatly for the day's fire. Their movements are calm, efficient, bound not just by necessity, but by the rhythm of life carried from father to son. Near the well, women draw buckets of water, their ropes creaking, their muscles straining. The water splashes into clay jars, cold and clear, droplets shimmering in the light. They carry them home with practiced ease, balancing the weight upon their shoulders. Children follow behind, carrying smaller pails, their steps clumsy but determined. The sound of water sloshing joins the chorus of the village. Another note in its steady song. The air grows warmer as the sun climbs higher. The mist that once clung to the fields begins to lift, revealing pastures stretching green and wide. Shepherds lead their flocks out beyond the village, their staffs tapping softly against the earth. The goats and sheep move in clusters, their bells chiming faintly as they scatter across the hillsides. Dogs bark and dart among them, guiding the animals with practiced energy. The shepherds walk steadily, their cloaks drawn tight, their eyes scanning both sky and earth, watchful for signs of change. Back in the village, craftsmen begin their work. The sharp ring of hammer on iron echoes from the smithy, sparks leaping into the air as the blacksmith shapes tools for the fields and nails for the ships. From another house comes the steady creak of a loom, its wooden frame rattling as wool is woven into cloth. The weaver's hands move quickly, pulling the shuttle back and forth, pressing each thread tightly into place. In yet another yard, a woodcarver shaves smooth a block of oak, his knife carving patterns that will adorn the prow of a new ship. Voices rise and fall throughout the lanes. A woman calls to her children, ushering them toward their chores. A man greets his neighbor. With a nod, their words brief but warm. Children's laughter drifts over rooftops, chased by the bark of dogs and the cry of gulls wheeling above. The village hums with life, not hurried, not loud, but steady, like the tide. By midday, the lanes are bright with sunlight. The roofs glow golden, the smoke rising straight into the sky. The fjord glimmers beyond the houses, a reminder of the sea that shapes all life here. Every hand works, every voice contributes, every heart beats in rhythm with the day. The village does not boast the grandeur of cities, nor the wealth of kings. It is simple, it is rugged, but it is alive, bound together by family, by labor, by the sea and the sky. And as the sun passes its height, shadows stretching once more across the packed earth, the village breathes in unity, steady and enduring. The smithy and the weaver's loom at the edge of the village, where the forest begins to climb the slope. The smithy glows with fire. Its walls are simple timber, its roof low, its doorway wide and open to the air. Inside, the forge burns hot, its coals glowing orange, sparks flickering upward with every strike of the bellows. The sound is constant, a low roar of fire, the steady creak of leather, the sharp ring of hammer upon iron. The blacksmith stands at the heart of it all, his arms bare, his body strong from years of labor. He lifts a length of iron from the fire, its surface glowing red. Upon the anvil he hammers steadily, each blow ringing out, echoing through the village. The rhythm is unbroken, almost musical, each strike shaping the metal, turning it from raw or into tool, into blade, into something of purpose. Beside him, an apprentice works the bellows, his young arms straining as he pushes and pulls the handles. The flames leap higher with each breath of air, swallowing the iron in heat, feeding its transformation. Sweat gathers on his brow, his eyes fixed upon the fire, his movements careful, steady. From time to time, the blacksmith glances toward him, nodding approval before returning to his work. Around the smithy lie the fruits of their labor, shovels and hoes, their edges sharp, ready for the fields, nails and rivets stacked in small piles, waiting for the shipwright. Blades of iron, long and gleaming, their surfaces polished smooth. Each one is both simple and vital, each one carrying within it the fire, the hammer, the patience of the hands that made it. The air hums with sound and scent, smoke and ash, iron and sweat, fire and effort bound together in one place. Outside, villagers pass, pausing briefly to glance inside, their heads bowing slightly in respect. The smithy is more than a workshop, it is the heartbeat of the village, where earth itself is transformed into the tools of survival. Not far away, in the open yard of another home, a different rhythm unfolds. Here the loom stands tall, its frame of wood sturdy, its threads stretched tight from top to bottom. A woman sits before it, her hands moving steadily, pulling the shuttle back and forth, pressing each strand into place with the comb. The sound is gentle, repetitive, the soft clack of wood upon wood echoing through the quiet air. She weaves wool spun from the sheep that graze upon the hillsides. The threads are dyed in colors drawn from the earth, deep browns, muted reds, soft blues. Her pattern grows row by row, a cloth strong and warm, destined to become cloaks and tunics for the winter ahead. Children sit beside her, watching intently. One winds wool onto a spindle, his small hands fumbling but eager. Another plays with a length of thread, tying knots that quickly unravel, his laughter carrying faintly into the air. The loom is steady, the woman's movements patient, Every thread joins another, crossing, binding, forming something whole. It is slow work, yet it holds within it the same weight as the forge. Where the smith shapes iron, the weaver shapes warmth. Where the one builds strength, the other builds shelter. Both are bound to survival, both are rooted in care. As the day moves forward, the sounds of forge and loom mingle with the life of the village. The hammer rings, the shuttle clicks, voices murmur, children laugh, animals call. It is a chorus of labor, each part distinct, each one necessary. By afternoon, the smith quenches a finished blade in water. Steam rises, hissing sharply before fading into silence. He studies the blade, turning it slowly, then sets it aside with satisfaction. Nearby, the weaver ties off her work, the cloth rolled carefully, folded with pride. She places it upon a shelf, another piece in the tapestry of her family's life. The forge dems, the loom grows quiet, but their work endures. Tools for the fields, blades for the hunt, cloth for warmth, all born of fire and patience of thread and rhythm. And as the sun tilts westward, casting long shadows across the village, the smithy and the loom remain as they always have been, pillars of life, shaping the strength and comfort of the people. The marketplace by the harbour. The path winds down again, from the heart of the village to the edge of the water. Here, where the fjord bends inward, the harbour rests a cluster of wooden docks stretching into the tide, their posts weathered by years of salt and storm. The longships lie anchored nearby, their prows rising above the mist, their hulls painted faintly with patterns of red and black. Seabirds wheel overhead, their cries sharp, their wings flashing silver against the sky. Along the shore, the marketplace gathers. It is not a grand affair of stone streets or sprawling stalls, only a scattering of wooden tables, barrels and baskets spread across the packed earth. But in this place, the world meets the village. Goods arrive from the sea, carried by ships that have braved distant waters, and others arrive from the inland paths, brought by hunters, farmers, and traders from neighboring settlements. The air is alive with quiet voices. Merchants call softly, their tones even, their words measured. There is no need to shout here. The crowd is not hurried, and each trade is made with patience. The language of barter flows like the tide itself. Silver for furs, cloth for fish, amber for salt. One stall displays the wealth of the sea. Fish lie in neat rows, their scales still shimmering faintly in the morning light. Barrels of herring stand open, packed in layers of salt, their sharp scent rising into the air. Beside them, nets of mussels glisten with seawater, their shells black and smooth. The fisherman sits nearby, his hands rough, his eyes steady, nodding as neighbors approach to choose their share. Another stall offers the treasures of the forest. Pelts of fox, wolf, and bear hang from wooden beams, their furs thick, their colors rich. Bundles of antlers rest against the table, polished smooth, ready to be carved into tools or ornaments. The hunter speaks little, his face shadowed by a hood, but his eyes are sharp, watchful, weighing each trade with care. From a third stall comes the glow of amber. The resin gleams golden, its surfaces catching the light, some pieces smooth as river stones, others holding the faint outline of ancient insects trapped within. Necklaces of beads, carved and polished, dangle from wooden frames. Children lean close, their eyes wide, their fingers reaching, before their parents draw them back gently. Amber is more than ornament. It is memory of the sea, a fragment of eternity caught in golden stone. Nearby, barrels of mead are tapped, their honeyed fragrance sweet in the air. Wooden cups are filled, their surfaces foaming faintly as they are passed to waiting hands. Men and women sip slowly, their conversations quiet, their laughter low. The taste is warm, lingering, a reminder of summer's flowers and bees even. In the chill of northern air. Cloth, too, finds its place. Bundles of wool dyed in muted hues of red, green, and blue lie folded neatly, their surfaces soft beneath the hand. The weavers stand proudly behind them, their voices gentle as they describe the work, the patience, the care. Shawls are draped over shoulders, tunics held up to the light, cloaks folded and placed into baskets. Every thread carries not only warmth, but story of sheep upon the hillside, of dye drawn from bark and root, of hands weaving day after day, until the cloth was whole. The harbour is not only trade, but gathering. Children dart between stalls, their laughter scattering the gulls from the shore. Dogs sniff at baskets, their tails wagging, their noses pressed to the ground. Neighbours meet and exchange words, clasping hands, their voices warm with familiarity. Here news travels as easily as goods. Stories of weather, of harvest, of distant voyages, whispered between cups of mead. Beyond the stalls, the ships are tended. Men mend sails, their hands working swiftly with needle and flaxen thread. Others scrape tar across the hulls, sealing the wood against the sea. The smell of pitch drifts strong, mingled with salt and smoke, sharp against the softer scents of bread and honey. Every ship bears the memory of journeys past, and the promise of journeys to come. As the sun rises higher, the marketplace glows. With light, the fjord shimmers, the mountains reflect upon its surface, and the harbour hums with life. Yet the pace is never frantic. The voices remain calm, the trades deliberate, the rhythm unbroken. For here, wealth is not only in goods, but in patience, in balance, in the shared breath of a people who know the sea can give and take with equal hand by midday. Some stalls begin to empty. Barrels are closed, nets are gathered, pelts folded and tied. Merchants prepare for the walk back to their homes, their baskets lighter, their hands heavier with silver and salt. But the harbour remains full of sound, the cry of gulls, the lap of water, the creak of rope, the murmur of voices still lingering. The marketplace by the harbour is more than trade. It is a meeting place, a heartbeat of the fjord, where land and sea, neighbour and stranger, work and rest, all gather together. For a time, And when the voices finally fade, the memory of them lingers, carried softly upon the salt-scented air. The longship at sea. The harbor fades behind as the longship pushes away from shore. Its prow cuts cleanly through the fjord, the dragon's head at its tip glowering toward the horizon. Oars dip into the water in perfect rhythm, rising and falling, as though the crew shares a single heartbeat. Each stroke sends ripples across the surface, breaking the reflection of the mountains and sky. The ship glides smoothly, its hull narrow and swift, its wood groaning softly as it bends with the swell. The fjord opens wider with each stroke, cliffs retreating, the sea drawing nearer. Seabirds follow, their wings flashing in the pale light, their cries sharp above the steady splash of oars. The men row with practiced ease, their backs straight, their arms steady, their eyes upon the horizon. No words are needed, the rhythm alone guides them. At last, the sail is raised. The canvas unfurls with a heavy sigh, catching the wind as it fills, swelling outward like a chest at breath. The ship tilts slightly, then steadies, surging forward with new strength. The oars lift from the water, dripping silver as they rest. Upon the sides, the crew leans back, their faces lit by the wind, their hair tossing, their cloaks rippling behind them. The fjord narrows, then spills into the open sea. The air changes here, sharper, colder, heavy with salt. The waves rise, higher, their crests tipped with foam, their voices louder as they crash against the ship's sides. The men brace their feet, their hands gripping ropes, their eyes fixed ahead. The sea is never enemy nor friend, only force, endless, eternal. From the stern, the steersman guides the ship with a great oar. His movements are calm, his gaze steady, his hands sure upon the handle. He reads the waves like a scored reeds, verses each swell a word, each shift of current a line in the sea's endless poem. The crew trusts him without question, their lives bound to his knowledge, his patience, his skill. The sky above is vast. Clouds drift in slow procession, their bellies grey, their edges gold where the sun breaks through. At times the light scatters upon the water, turning the waves into sheets of silver. At others shadow passes, and the sea grows darker, heavier, its surface restless beneath the wind. The ship rides it all, rising, dipping, rising again, its body flexing with the motion, its spirit unbroken. Voices drift softly across the deck. Men hum low songs as they work, their tones deep, steady, woven into the rhythm of the waves. Some speak quietly of families waiting at home, of fields to be tended, of hunts to come. Others tell tales of far coasts, lands beyond the horizon. Markets filled with silver, temples adorned with gold. The words mingle with the sea, carried away as soon as they are spoken. At the bow, a young boy sits between two warriors. His eyes are wide, his hands clutched tightly around a length of rope. It is his first voyage, his first taste of the sea. The warriors murmur words of reassurance, pointing toward the horizon, showing him how to read the clouds, how to sense the pull of the current. He listens with care, his fear softened by wonder. The longship presses onward. Its sail snaps in the wind, its ropes groan, its timbers creak. Every sound is alive, every note part of the chorus of travel. The sea sprays against the men's faces, sharp and cold, but they do not flinch. They are bound to this ship, to this moment, to the endless expanse stretching before them. As the day passes, the sun arcs across the sky, casting its light upon the open waters. Shadows shorten, then lengthen again, the world shifting in color from gold to silver to deepening blue. The men sip from leather flasks, chew bread carried from the village, their voices low, their laughter rare but true. The sea accepts them, as it has countless times before. By evening, the waves soften, the wind calms, the sail droops gently, and the ship glides forward in silence. The horizon glows with fading light, painted in shades of crimson and violet. The men sit quietly, their gazes drawn outward, their bodies weary but at peace. The longship rests upon the water like a living thing, breathing with the tide, waiting with patience for what comes next. The sea holds them all, the ship, the men, their silence, their stories. It carries them without judgment, without end. And as night approaches, the longship drifts onward beneath a sky already touched with stars. The feast hall at dusk. As the longship rests upon the water, so too does the village prepare for night. The day's labor draws to a close. The animals are penned, the tools stored, the fires coaxed back to life. From every lane, every yard, people gather toward the longhouse, the great feast hall, heart of the community. Its frame rises tall above the village roofs. Built of heavy timber, its walls hung with carved beams and shields polished smooth. With age, smoke curls from the roof hole in a steady stream, glowing faintly orange in the deepening dusk. Its great doors stand open, and from within spills a golden light that dances across the packed earth outside. The sound of voices drifts outward to laughter. Low song, the hum of a people gathering as one inside. The air is thick with warmth. The central hearth blazes, its flames leaping high, its embers glowing red, casting light upon every corner. Of the hall, along either side stretch long wooden tables, their surfaces crowded with food and drink. Platters of roasted meats, venison, boar, lamb send their fragrance through the air. Loaves of bread lie stacked in baskets, their crusts still warm, their surfaces dusted with flour. Bowls of stewed beans and root vegetables steam gently, their scent earthy and comforting. Pitchers of mead and ale stand ready, their honey-sweet aroma mingling with the smoke and spice. The people take their seats along the benches. Children sit beside their parents, their eyes wide, their voices eager. Elders rest at the ends, their faces lined but content, their hands steady upon their cups. Warriors settle into place, their cloaks falling around their shoulders, their laughter loud, their hands already reaching for the first cuts of meat. Every space is filled, every voice part of the whole's steady hum dotted the head of the table. Sits the chieftain. His cloak is trimmed with fur, his arm ring gleams in the firelight, but his smile is easy, his eyes watchful. He lifts a horn of mead, raising it high for all to see. His voice booms over the noise, calling for thanks for the sea's bounty, for the land's strength, for the bonds that hold the people together. The hall responds with a cheer, horns lifted, voices loud, the sound shaking the very beams above. The feast begins in earnest. Platters are passed hand to hand, bread broken and shared, bowls filled and emptied and filled again. The sound of chewing, of laughter, of mugs striking wood fills the air. Dogs wander between the benches, sniffing at scraps, their tails wagging, their ears pricked for dropped morsels. Children sneak them bits of bread and meat, their giggles carrying faintly beneath the roar of voices. As the first hunger is satisfied, music begins. A lyre is strummed softly at first, its notes weaving through the hum of conversation. A drum joins, steady and low, its rhythm like a heartbeat beneath the song. Soon a flute adds its voice, high and clear, carrying the melody upward into the rafters. The music fills the hall, lifting spirits higher still, guiding voices into song. Men and women join in chorus, their voices strong, their tones weaving together. Some sing of the sea, of storms weathered and journeys endured. Others sing of harvests, of fields golden with barley, of flocks gathered safe. And some sing of the gods, of Odin's wisdom, Thor's strength, Freya's beauty. The voices rise and fall, filling the hall with the memory of countless generations. Then the skald steps forward. His cloak is plain, his voice deep, but his presence commands silence. He carries no weapon, no tool, only the memory of words carried. In his mind, the hall quiets, monks lowered, laughter stilled, all eyes upon him. He begins his tale slowly, his words rolling steady, his hands gesturing wide as he weaves the old stories into life. He speaks of Yggdrasil, the great world tree, its roots deep in the underworld, its branches spread across the heavens. He tells of Odin, one-eyed wanderer, who gave his sight for wisdom, of Thor, who wields his hammer against giants, his strikes shaking the skies with thunder, of Loki, sly and cunning, who stirs trouble even as he saves. The hall listens, entranced, their eyes gleaming with firelight, their hearts carried into realms beyond the walls. The children lean forward, their mouths parted in awe. The elders nod, remembering the same tales from their youth. The warriors grin, their hands tightening on their cups as though holding weapons once more. The story grows, builds, swells, until the hall is silent but for the voice of the skald, echoing against the beams, ringing in every ear. When he finishes, the hall erupts, cheers, laughter, mugs struck hard against wood, voices raised in praise. The skald bows slightly, stepping back into the crowd, his task complete. The music begins again, the feast resumes, but the story lingers, alive in the minds of all who heard it. The fire burns lower now, its flames steady, its embers glowing. The voices soften, the laughter dims, the mugs empty and clatter softly against the tables. Children curl against their parents, their eyes closing at last. Dogs settle at their feet, their tails still. The warriors lean back, their gazes distant, their voices quiet with memory. The hall breathes as one warm glowing, filled with food, story, and song. It is more than timber and fire, more than walls and roof. It is the heart of the people, the place where life gathers, where memory endures, where the night grows gentle. Ritual by the stones. The feast hall grows quiet as the fire burns low. Voices fade to murmurs, cups grow empty, and families drift back toward their homes. But not all retire to rest. Beyond the village, in the open fields where the earth rises, into gentle hills, a ritual awaits. The night is cool, touched with the scent of pine and the salt of the distant sea. Mist clings low across the ground, curling between tufts of grass, swirling at the ankles of those who walk. Torches flicker. In steady hands, their flames bending in the breeze, casting golden halos upon the dark. One by one, figures emerge from the village. Men, women, elders, and children, each carrying an offering. Each step deliberate and slow. Ahead lies the sacred site, a ring of standing stones, their surfaces worn by countless seasons, their shapes rising tall and silent against the night sky. They gleam faintly in the moonlight, their edges sharp, their shadows long. No one knows who first placed them here, nor how many generations have gathered among them, but their presence endures, unbroken. A bridge between earth and sky. The people enter the circle, their torches planted into the ground, their flames rising high, their light dancing across the stone. At the center, a priestess waits, her cloak dark, her hair braided with beads of amber. In her hands rests a small bowl of embers, glowing red, carried carefully from the hearth of the feast hall. The fire of the village joins the fire of the gods, uniting hearth and heaven in one flame. Voices fall silent. The priestess lifts her arms, her voice rising in low chant. The words are old, their syllables heavy, carved into memory long before ink touched parchment. They call upon Odin, the All-Father, Freya, the giver of love and harvest, Thor, the guardian of storms. The chants echo against the stones, their sound carrying outward into the fields, upward into the night. One by one, offerings are laid before the stones. Bread, its crust dark, its scent still warm. Mead poured from wooden cups, its sweetness soaking into the earth. Furs folded carefully, antlers polished and placed with reverence. A necklace of amber beads glimmering softly in the torchlight. Each gift is set with bowed head, each one accompanied by whispered words, prayers for strength, for protection, for peace. for dreams untroubled. Children step forward too, guided by their parents' hands. One places a carved toy, a small wooden horse, smoothed by play. Another sets down a simple stone, chosen for its shape, its weight in her palm. Their voices are shy, uncertain, but their offerings are accepted with the same reverence as all others. For in the eyes of the gods, it is not wealth that matters, but intention, devotion, memory. The priestess lifts the embers higher, scattering them upon the ground. Smoke rises, curling upward, drifting toward the stars. The torches flare as if answering, their flames swaying in unison, their light stronger for a moment before settling once more. The chanting deepens, voices joining together, the sound swelling, steady, endless dot. Above, the night sky blazes. Stars scatter in countless numbers, constellations sharp against the darkness. The northern lights stir faintly, their ribbons of green and violet shimmering along the horizon, shifting like breath across the heavens. The people lift their eyes, their voices softening, their bodies still. In this moment, the earth and sky feel bound, the stones below, the lights above, the voices between. The ritual does not last forever. The chant fades, the torches burn low, the offerings rest quietly among the stones, but its weight lingers, carried in the silence, in the scent of smoke, in the memory of voices lifted together. The priestess lowers her arms, her voice soft, her eyes calm. She bows her head, and the circle bows with her, one by one. The people collect their torches and turn back toward the village. Their footsteps are soft, their voices hushed, their hearts quieted by the night. The fields swallow them, their flames, growing faint in the mist, until only the stones remain, standing silent in the dark. The circle holds its place. It has seen countless nights like this one, countless generations come and go, countless prayers whispered into its shadow, and it will see countless more. For the stones endure, silent guardians, rooted in earth, gazing always toward the stars. Night fires in the village. The ritual at the stones fades into memory, and the people return slowly to the warmth of their homes. The village lies quiet beneath the northern night, its lanes lit only by the glow of scattered fires, its roofs crowned with faint curls of smoke. The fjord reflects the stars, silver threads scattered across its dark waters. While the mountains stand silent, their peaks lost in mist. Inside the homes, life softens into calm. Each house is built from sturdy logs, their walls lined with woolen. Hangings, their roofs low and steep to hold the heat. At the center of every room burns a fire pit, its stones glowing red, its flames steady but low. The smoke drifts upward through roof holes, carrying the scent of pine, peat, and the day's final meal. Families gather close around the hearth. Children sit upon benches draped with furs, their eyes heavy with sleep, their hands still clutching. Toys carved from wood or bone. Mothers hum soft songs as they mend tunics or stir a small pot of porridge, the rhythm of their voices blending with the crackle of fire. Fathers carve quietly at pieces of driftwood, their knives scraping softly, their movements slow and unhurried. Every sound is muted, every motion gentle, as though the night itself has hushed the world. In one house, a woman weaves tales for her children, her voice low and steady. She speaks of Thor riding through the sky with his hammer, lightning flashing. From its strikes, of Freya's chariot pulled by great cats, prowling across the heavens. The children listen with wide eyes, their bodies curled close, their dreams already carried upward into the stories. In another, a group of men sit around the fire, their mugs filled with the last of the evening's ale. Their voices are quiet now, their laughter subdued, their words heavy with memory. They speak of hunts long past, of storms weathered at sea, of friends no longer present, but remembered in story. The firelight flickers against their faces, deepening the lines of age, softening the gaze of youth. Each man leans closer to the flames, as though seeking warmth, not only for body, but for heart. Dogs curl at their feet, their tails twitching, their ears lifting at faint sounds outside. From time to time, one rises, pacing slowly to the doorway, gazing out into the night. The darkness offers no threat, only the whisper of wind through the trees, the lapping of the fjord, the rustle of straw in pens where goats and cattle sleep. Satisfied, the dog returns to the warmth, settling once more beside its people. Beyond the walls, the village lanes are quiet. The fires burn steadily in the hearths, their glow faint against the shutters. Occasionally, a figure steps outside, cloaked against the chill, to fetch water from the well or wood from the pile. Their footsteps crunch against the earth, their breath drifting in clouds, their torches flickering briefly before vanishing indoors once more. The silence returns, the night reclaiming its calm. The sky above grows deeper, its stars sharper, its constellations turning slowly with the hours. The northern lights stir faintly, a pale ribbon stretching across the horizon. Its colors shift from green to violet to silver, shimmering like breath across the heavens. Those who see it pause, their eyes lifted, their hearts stirred. For in its dance, they glimpse not only beauty but mystery, a reminder that the world is greater than even the gods they call upon. Inside, the children grow still, their eyes close, their breathing slows, their bodies curl beneath woolen blankets. The songs end, the stories fade, the knives and needles are set aside. Parents watch. For a while longer, their gazes soft, their hands resting upon their children's heads. Then they too grow quiet, their voices silent, their bodies leaning into the calm of the fire's glow. The flames burn lower, their embers glowing steady, their crackles softened to a murmur. The houses breathe as one with the night, steady, quiet, enduring. Outside, the fjord glimmers, the stars turn, the mountains hold their silence. The village, wrapped in its fires and furs, rests in peace. Under the northern sky, the village lies wrapped in firelight, its lanes quiet, its hearths glowing steady. But beyond the roofs and walls, the night itself awakens, vast and endless above. The northern sky stretches wide, filled with stars, sharp and countless, each one shimmering like a flame held high. The air is cold, clean, clear, every breath a reminder of the great stillness surrounding the world. On the edge of the village, a group gathers. They climb a low hill, cloaks wrapped tight, their footsteps crunching softly against the frost. At the top, they settle upon stones, upon furs, upon one another's shoulders, their eyes turning upward. No words are needed at first. The silence itself is sacred, the kind of silence that feels alive, humming with presence, filled with things unseen. Then a father points toward the sky, his voice low. He traces the line of stars that form the Great Bear, its shape clear against the dark. Beside him, a child repeats the name softly, her eyes wide as she follows the trail of light. Another points toward the cluster of stars that form the Pleiades, small, bright, huddled together like a family. They murmur of how these lights guide the sailors, how they mark the turning of seasons, how their rising and setting tell the stories of time itself. The elders speak of myths carried in the constellations. They tell of Thor's hammer flashing across the sky in storms, its strike shaking the heavens with thunder. Of Odin wandering among the stars, one eye watching, one hidden, seeking wisdom in silence. Of Freya scattering light like seeds of love, her chariot gliding upon the aurora itself. The stories weave across the night, each star a word, each constellation a sentence in the great poem of the cosmos. And then the northern lights stir. At first, faint, a shimmer along the horizon, as though the sky itself has taken a breath. Then stronger ribbons of green and violet rising, bending, stretching across the dark. They ripple like water, they dance like flame, they move like a voice, too vast for words. The people gasp softly, their eyes wide, their hands reaching as though to touch. Children laugh, their joy spilling upward, their voices carried into the glow. The elders only watch, their gazes calm, their hearts remembering all the nights. They have seen this same wonder. The aurora flows, shifting, changing. At times it gathers into one great band, stretching from horizon to horizon. At others it scatters into many threads, weaving together like cloth across the heavens. The colors deepen, fade, then surge again, a living presence, eternal yet fleeting. The people lift their voices softly, not in song, but in murmurs of prayer, of gratitude, of awe. They speak to the gods, to the land, to the sea, to the sky. They thank the night for its beauty. They ask it for peace. They promise to remember. Their words are carried upward, lost in the glow, absorbed into the silence that holds all things, ours. Pass like moments. The fire of the aurora fades slowly, drifting back into the stars. The constellations return to prominence, steady, unshaken, their presence constant once more. The people rise, pulling cloaks tighter, their bodies weary but their spirits full. They turn back toward the village, their voices low, their footsteps steady, their hearts still lifted by the sky. The night remains vast and endless, its stars watching, its silence unbroken. The aurora may fade, but its memory endures, written upon the hearts of those who witnessed its dance. And above it all, the northern sky keeps its vigil, eternal, infinite, alive. The longship beneath the moon, down by the harbor, the night is deeper still. The fjord lies calm, its waters smooth as polished stone, its surface touched only by the faintest ripples of tide. The moon hangs high above, full and bright, casting a silver path across the water. And along the shore, the longships rest, their hulls dark, their prows rising like watchful guardians into the night. One ship lies closer than the rest, its dragon-headed prow gleaming faintly in the moonlight. The shields along its sides reflect soft silver, their painted surfaces muted by shadow. The ropes creak gently as the tide shifts, the sound quiet but steady, like the breath of the ship itself. It seems alive even in stillness, its body flexing with the water, its form both weight and grace. The deck is empty now, the crew long since departed to the fires of the village, yet their presence lingers. The benches hold the memory of hands, gripping oars, of backs bent in rhythm, of sweat and breath given to the sea. The mast rises high, its sail furled, its canvas folded and tied, waiting for the wind's command. The timbers hum faintly, the echo of journeys past still pulsing. In their grain, around the ship, the fjord glimmers. Fish dart near the surface, their bodies flashing silver in the moonlight. Seals rise occasionally, their dark heads breaking the water before slipping silently below again. The cries of gulls are gone now, replaced by the distant hoot of an owl in the forest, the whisper of reeds shifting along the banks. All else is silence, vast, endless, steady. The moonlight spreads wide across the sea beyond. From the harbor's edge, the horizon is endless, a black line where sky and water meet. It is the same horizon the Vikings have always known, the same endless expanse that has carried them to distant coasts, to markets, to battles, to unknown lands. Tonight it is quiet, but its presence remains patient, waiting, eternal. The longship creaks again, its ropes tugging softly against the wooden posts. It rocks gently, its body swaying with the tide, as though dreaming of the waters it will one day ride again. For the sea is its destiny, its breath, its purpose. It may rest tonight, but it is never still within Dot. In the village, the fires burn. Lo, the songs are silenced, the people sleep. Yet here by the fjord, the ship and the sea remain awake together. The ship waits with patience, the sea breathes with calm, the moon watches with silence. Three presences bound in harmony, each reflecting the other. Time passes, though it is difficult to feel it here. The ship does not measure hours, nor does the sea, nor the moon. They exist beyond such things, their rhythm slower, steadier, endless. The stars turn, the tide shifts, The ropes creak once more, and still they endure. And so the long ship rests beneath the moon, silent, steady, eternal, a vessel of journeys, a symbol of strength, a dream of the sea yet to come. It is more than wood, more than rope, more than sail. It is memory, it is hope, it is the breath of a people carried into the horizon. Here, upon the fjord beneath the northern sky, the world rests. The longships lie still, their prows lifted toward the stars, waiting for journeys yet to come. The hearths burn low, their embers glowing softly within the homes of the village. And above it all, the aurora and the stars keep their endless vigil, silent and eternal. Perhaps, just as the Vikings gazed upon the horizon and dreamed of distant lands, so too do we. Still searching, still listening, still carried by the same tides of time. For the sea continues, the stars endure, the fires fade to embers, and the rest of the story has yet to be written.